This video is going to go through some more basic Python programs. We've got 7 tasks here that we're going to carry out. So let's get started on task 01. Task 1, the README says make a program that will print out the numbers from 0 to 20. Please make sure that you comment the task. Okay, so I'm going to type here use iteration to print out the numbers from 0 to 20 for I in range 0, 21. Remember, you need to go one past it. Print I. Okay, and that should be enough there. Okay, I've tested that 0 to 20, that's fine. So I've got a for loop, a standard for loop there, and a single comment, and that's enough there. Use iteration to print out the numbers from 0 to 20. I'm going to submit that, and that's task 1 completed. Okay, moving on to task 2. Task 2 says, similar to program 1, make the program print the numbers on the same lines separated by commas. Okay, so here, use iteration, print 0 to 20 with commas. And here, for I in range 0 to 21. Some people may set the 0, but I'm putting it in for clarity. If you don't put a number in there, it's 0 by default. But end equals, and here a comma, no space, just a comma. Okay, and there we go, nice and tidy. 0 to 20. I've tested that. I'll submit it. Task 2 complete. Moving on to task 3. Task 3 says create a program that asks for a positive integer. If the user enters a negative number, an error message should be printed out. Otherwise, the program should print the numbers from 0 to the number, including that number. Okay, so get user input, and here we can say num equals int input, enter a positive integer, and now we can have output based on selection. Remember the keywords here, selection means an if statement. So if num is less than 0, because that's what the program statement said, print this is a negative value, else and here we're going to loop to the value entered. Okay, and so here I'll have a for loop for I in range 0, and then I'm going to do num plus 1 because it needed to include num. Print I, and I'll run that. I'll start it with -1, run it again. I'm going to do 0, and there it runs and produces 0, and that is correct. Then 10, 0 to 10, that's correct, it's fine, submit that, and that is task number 3 complete. Moving on to task 4. Task 4 asks for a password, and until it gets one that's 8 characters long, you should be asked to re-enter or choose an alternative password. Okay, so get user password. Password, don't use pass because pass is a keyword, a reserved word. Enter password, and loop if length is less than 8. So here, while len password is less than 8, and here we're going to say password equals input the password must be at least 8 characters long. Please re-enter, and please choose an alternative password. I'll do that. I'm just going to put in here a line break. And did it say password accepted or not? No, it didn't. So we'll just do that. Run that. Okay, it's got a space bar there that I don't like. So that's that. Stop that. Run that. That looks okay. I'm going to run it again. And that's fine there as well. Okay, and I'm going to submit that. Moving on to task 5. So task 5, these tasks are starting to get a little bit longer and more complex, and this is where I tend to copy the instructions across and put them inside a block comment. Okay, write code that will set a username and a password. So set variables username equals CFM66 and password is the fantastic football team Telford United. Okay, what's the next thing? Okay, Boolean variable set to false. It's valid. Okay, so valid equals false with a capital F. And now what we're going to do is we're going to get somebody to enter the data, and they're given 3 opportunities to do so. Okay, if they get it right, then valid should be set to true. Okay, right, so I'm also going to do here guess, or I'm just going to do count equals 0. I'm going to do uname is equal to this, and p word is equal to this, and while username is not equal to uname or password is not equal to p word. So I've used dummy variables here so that we can just get inside here. Otherwise I'm going to have to ask the question twice. So I'm going to do here uname equals input enter username and p word equals input enter password, and what I'm going to do here as well, if and so that's somebody having a go, so I'm going to do count plus equals 1. So if count, so they've had their first guess, if count is greater than 3, break. And so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to take that stuff, I'm going to stick it up here, and basically what this is saying is I don't care what you've guessed. If the count has gone beyond 3, it means I'm not going to ask you the question. Okay, so here I'm going to increment count if the count is greater than 3, exit loop, and that will exit loop under a failed condition. Okay, so here, get user input, and here what we're going to say is if, and I need to fix that typo, if uname equals username and p-word equals password, we can set valid to true. Okay, and so there we have it so far. Okay, so basically we go inside here. If we haven't got the password right or the username right, the count is increased by 1, and it tests the count to find out are they going to be given another guess, and if they're not, we're going to break out. Otherwise, they're going to be given a guess. This little bit here is used because unfortunately we have a flag that we were told to set. Okay, and we set that flag because later on outside the loop we can just say if valid, we can say print, and it was something like login successful. It might not have told us exactly. Login successful, login unsuccessful. So here we can say login successful, else print login unsuccessful. Okay, and I'm going to run that just before I comment it up, and here I'm going to do it with something that's wrong, and now it should kick me out. Login unsuccessful. Good. Now I'm going to run it again. I'm doing this one intentionally correct straight away, or at least I hope so. Yep, login successful. So after one attempt, and so here I'm going to see if it messes up when I put in one thing correctly. No, it hasn't. What about the other thing? No, so that's good, that works. And so that's me tested it with 3 attempts. And this is me testing it with 2 attempts. So you can see there's a lot of testing that you really need to do to make sure that it works. So how did I do this? So initially set the user variables. Here I set dummy values for the user input, and I did that so that I didn't have to, otherwise I'm going to have to ask this question up the top here, and I'm going to have to set the count to 1, but instead of that I did it with dummy variables. So that's one way of doing it. Loop until correct data entered, and that's not entirely true, but that's good enough for that comment, because here here we could break out the loop if we've had too many goes. Get the user input, and here we would be set the valid flag, and here finally final login message. Okay, so that's that one there, and I'm going to submit that. That's task number 5. Moving on to task number 6. Okay, task number 6. Once again, I'm going to copy this information here. Saves me looking at the README all the time because they are getting a little bit more complex. Create a program that starts with an empty list. The program should generate 6 numbers, random numbers. So here I'm going to import random. I don't need you to comment that bit up. I'm going to have a list of numbers. Nums is equal to empty list. So here create an empty list. And then it says here, the program should generate 6 numbers. These numbers should be printed as they're created and stored into list. Finally, the entire list should be printed out. Okay, so for I in range 0 to 6, value equals random dot randint, and it said 0 to 59, and it said print out the value and then add that value to nums, and that's dot append. Okay, so here add value to nums to the list, generate random integer in a range, and then finally outside the loop print list. Okay, and I'm just going to do it in the basic manner here and see if that works. Oh, syntax error. Where's the syntax error? Value equals that. I have no idea why I got a colon there. Nums.append num, nums.append num, nums.append a value. And you can see here I'm fixing my syntax errors, and that's okay. And there you go, 6 and a bunch of numbers there. Finally the entire list should be printed out, and that's done that nice and tidy. I'm going to do that a couple more times. Yep, sorted. Okay, so I'm going to submit that. That's task 6. Moving on to task 7. Okay, task 7 is an exposure level monitoring problem. Okay, so I'm going to copy that once again, put it inside a block comment only so that I can see it. Okay, and because I'm zoomed in quite a lot because of doing this video, you know, it takes up a lot of space. Create a program that has an empty list. Create a variable called danger level set at 85. Okay, so empty list, set variables. So nums equals empty list, danger level equals 85. Okay. Okay, danger level. Yeah, it's got a capital D there, but that's, if this was an exam, I would do a capital D. Add code to the program that will generate 100 numbers. These numbers will be between 1 and 100. Okay, so 100 numbers between 1 and 100. So for I in range 0 to 100, and that will generate 100 numbers. Value is equal to, and I'm just going to go up here. These numbers will be between 1 and 100, so that means it's going to make random numbers. Okay, these numbers will be between 1 and 100. If the number is equal to or above the danger level, a message saying danger exposure level too high should be printed out, and the generation of numbers must stop at this point, otherwise the number is added to the list. Okay, so here we are going to create random numbers. Okay, so it's random.randint, and it said that the number is going to be between 1 and 100, so 1, 100. So we've just got a value. If the value is greater than or equal to danger level, then what we do is we print out the message, and the message was danger, and I'm not going to type it out, I'm just going to copy it. Okay, danger exposure too high, and then it needs to break, otherwise we add the value to the list of numbers, numbers.append value. Okay, so loop 100 times. Generate random integer. Selection action based on value. And so here else we add it. After the generation has finished, the average value should be displayed alongside the number of levels. Okay, so here I'm going to do print average value equals, and that will be, here I'm going to work out the average. Av equals I'm going to have to work out the total. So calculate total. So that's tot equals 0 for I in range. In fact, what I'm going to do is for value in nums, so this is a for each loop. Top plus equals value. So now that I've got that, I can say that the average is the total divided by len nums. And the other thing that I wanted was the average value alongside the number. Okay, so the average value is that plus av, and the print number of levels recorded equals plus len nums. Okay, and I'm just going to run that. Oh, I need to be careful with my languages, because here we need to cast that to a string, and then len nums will also need to be cast to a string. Let's see if that works. Oh, print invalid syntax, line 32. I'm going to have to make that a bit bigger so I can see what I'm doing. Close the bracket again, run that, and then here open brackets, 3 open brackets. Yeah, need to do the same thing there. Syntax errors. And there we go. And so here I'm just going to pull this across a little bit. Danger, exposure level too high. Average value 46.15. Now would I have wanted that to be an integer? And there we go. So that's this problem. Problem number 7. However, there is an issue with this code. There is an issue with this code, and I'm just going to go here for a second to show you in fact, I'm going to take away a couple of blank lines, so hopefully it will fit onto one level. It doesn't quite, but okay. So there's the first part. I'm just going to scroll down to show you the printouts. There is one issue. There's a situation where this program could fail, but I'm going to leave it like that and submit it. And if anybody can tell me what the problem was, or what the problem could possibly be, then I'll be interested to find out. Okay, that's the end of that. We've just finished the tasks 1 to 7. So excellent. Keep coding, and I'll catch you later. Bye bye.